Overtime!
Welcome back to Overtime Arcade. And yeah, this tumbler's been running pretty much nonstop since the end of our most recent video. And I've been checking it every couple of days or every day or so. And we're making good progress, so hopefully all that stuff will be rust-free and ready for reuse soon. And yeah, we are working again on the Atari Tetris cocktail cabinet. We're making good progress. You know, and I was hoping, I know I mentioned in the end of the last video, I was hoping that we were one episode away from being done with this project. But yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. Life got in the way. I've been super busy at work and with kids and a couple of unexpected trips, and I haven't been able to pour enough as much time into this project as I was hoping to. So, and this episode is also probably going to be a little bit on the shorter side. A bit of a progress update on everything that I've been doing with this project, and hopefully one more episode and we'll be done after this one. So what have I been doing? I've been busy. Over on the cabinet, the main thing was I plugged the old security lock bar holes with wooden dowels and wood glue. That's all dry. I'm ready to throw on some Bondo and then sand it nice and smooth and, you know, paint the cabinet, so that'll look great. Over here, with the control panels, something really kind of interesting happened. I was starting to peel off the control panel overlay, and I realized there was actually two layers. And when I got it all the way off, look at what I found. You know, this is, I think, still kind of a generic CPO, but the colors match Atari Tetris colors, this sort of red into orangish yellow with black. And I think I'm just going to clean these up and use these as the CPOs for the cabinet, because otherwise, you know, I'd have to get something either custom made, which wouldn't be cheap, or really buy two Atari Tetris CPOs and trim them down to size, and they would be missing part of the artwork. So, you know, rather than spending $100 on that, I think I'm just going to use these. Yeah, and here's one of those CPOs. Kind of rolled off, almost perfectly intact. This is sort of the faded lightning motif CPO that was on top. And yeah, these look pretty okay. I got to clean them up a little bit. There's a bunch of adhesive, especially at the bottom. But I think these will be great, and they'll probably look fine underneath the plexi, which I still need to buy. I did finally find some paper to use to make the new bezel, the new cardboard bezel to go under the glass for the tabletop. I was talking on the Overtime Arcade private members-only Discord. If you want to be part of that, hit that join button down below to become an Overtime Arcade channel member. Anyway, I had gone to Michael's, the craft store, and couldn't find any paper big enough, right? Like, I needed something that was minimum 24 inches by 28 inches, and all I could find was like 22-inch wide paper. But I actually went back, found some matting, like mat board for mounting, you know, framing photos or framing pictures, and I think we're in good shape. That's actually downstairs, though. I've got to cut it to size, and it's not going to be exactly perfect, you know, because it's matte board, so it's like a matte black, and the original, the remnants of which are over here. That's kind of a little bit glossier paper, if you can see it sort of reflecting a little bit, and that's all chopped up because I went and I pulled the original decals, like these are the instructions, and, you know, the sort of Tetris kind of almost, I don't want to call it a marquee, but it's, you know, the cards that go under the glass. I'm going to clean those up a little bit, and I think I'm going to use those and just position them, and that'll serve as my makeshift replacement cardboard bezel. And yeah, maybe I shouldn't have hacked this, the old one up as much as I did, but it was in rough shape, and I wanted to cut those you know, cards, those decals out to use as cards. So I think we're in good shape there. On the monitor, I've completely rebuilt this thing. New flyback because the original was cracked. Don't worry, I still have it over here. This is the original white knob OEM flyback from the K7000. And if you can see right here, there is a crack just to the left of the focus knob, if you can see that in the image. And it works, you know, so I'm not going to throw it away, but, you know, I don't feel great about having a cracked flyback, especially essentially on location at my office at work. So got a new flyback in there from Peter, arcadepartsandrepair.com. That's installed in the chassis. I also put a cap kit in this thing. And another thing I did was, you know, I wanted to do something about how rusty all the parts were. I didn't really want to tumble some of this stuff, like the heat sinks and whatever. So I grabbed a parts chassis, which I had for my stash of spare parts. This thing's incomplete. It's missing parts already. It's missing the flyback. It's missing, I think it was IC3. And there's a couple things that I pulled off of it, like you know, the mounting, the heat sink for IC3, because this is the rusty one from the original. Here's the nice shiny one I stole off of the parts chassis. I also grabbed, where is it? This resistor, I forget which one it is, but the vertically mounted ceramic resistor, and you can see how rusty this sort of mounting bracket is. And there's a much less rusty one mounted in there. So there's still a bunch of, you know, screws in here that are kind of rusty, but I'm not too worried about that. I reflowed the header pins. What else did I do? I put new micas, insulators, sill pads, and heatsink compound on all the vertical ICs. So yeah, I think we're ready to test this thing, because I haven't fired this up, you know, since rebuilding it, but I put it all back together, so it's ready to go again with that new flyback cap kit and some parts off of the parts chassis. We're all plugged in here. I've got my homemade compact portable isolation transformer power supply thing to you know, test bench monitors. I've got my multimeter connected and set up to test the B+ voltage. I've got my TPG CraftyMech test pattern generator turned on and plugged in. And I think we're looking for 123 volts here on the B+ on the multimeter. So I think I can just hit power here. 3, 2, 1. I hear HV. I'm not sure I heard the DeGauss come on. And we have 122.6, which is a good sign. So let's come around here to the front, and you'll see it before I do. Well, we've got something. We've got something here. Let me get mounted on the tripod, and we'll take a look, and maybe we can make some adjustments. And no, your eyes are not playing tricks on you. We've got some issues here. I don't know if the DeGauss circuit is running. I didn't really hear it kick on. So we've got some color distortion. Everything is super out of focus. Let me come in here and see if I can do something about that right off the bat. Because we do have an image here. We've got something going on there. We got some, oh, that turned the B+ a little bit down. Let me see if I can adjust the brightness, and obviously our colors are all screwed up. That's actually not too bad right there. Okay. So yeah, we got a DeGauss issue going on, and there's some flickering, and I'm not sure what to make of that. Obviously green is too high. I don't know what's really causing that flickering. Maybe we need to put the yeah, look at that. Did you see that? The green is way too high. Let me see if I can find red, green drive right there. Okay, that's good. Now the blue's probably too high. Okay, just, I might want to put this thing on. Yeah, look at that. Or maybe the pots are just dirty. Yeah, I think that might be what that is. Look at that. As I adjust the blue drive pot, the green is still too high. Okay. So that, oh, look at that. Okay. Let's step through the patterns here. Yeah. Something's funky there. But look at that. That right there, when it doesn't get all bajiggity on me, that looks all right. Yeah, the gauze issue. What was that? Hold on. Look at that moving. Is that I don't know. Okay, I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to spray a little bit of deoxit into all of the pots on the chassis and the neck board and kind of work those back and forth a little bit. I'm going to let that dry, and maybe then we can come back and test this monitor again. And maybe we will, I don't know, maybe we'll try hooking the tube up to my rejuvenator and see if there's any issues with the tube itself. Okay, I got the chassis taken out of the monitor. It's off to the side. I sprayed all the pots with deoxit, worked them back and forth, each of them a bunch of times, and now it's kind of drying. And I'm taking advantage of the chassis being out of the monitor to hit it with my rejuvenator. I know I've done this at least a couple of times before in videos, but it's been a while, so we'll do this together. You know, this isn't something I do every time, only when I suspect something going on with the tube. And this is not going to be a super in-depth tutorial. Buffett did a really good one years and years ago. I'll put a link down below to his video, you know, sort of from the bottom up exactly how to do it. I'm just going to walk through it here with this tube, and we'll see what happens. We'll test it, we'll clean and balance it, and if necessary, which I hopefully is not necessary, we'll do a full rejuvenation. And that is kind of risky. You know, these tubes do wear out, and a rejuvenation, I've always thought of it as a little bit like a self-cleaning oven. You're kind of over voltaging the tube when you rejuvenate it, and that will accelerate sort of the aging process and really wear it out. And rejuvenator is also a little bit like an AED, you know, like a defibrillator, where you're kind of like shocking it back into life. And that might not work. And you might actually, you know, if it's on the edge, you might kick it over the edge. So I don't think that's going to happen here, but you do want to be a little bit prudent when you're using a rejuvenator. I, of course, have a B&K Precision Model 467 CRT Restore / Analyzer. This is probably the rejuvenator of choice for most, you know, CRT enthusiasts. It has kind of the best compatibility. You'll find it most commonly, you know, with the correct adapters and all of that kind of stuff. Everyone likes this. You know, the setup for different rejuvenators will be different. There's a 490, which is very similar, except it only has a single gauge, so you have to sort of do the colors one at a time as opposed to all together. There's also Sencor rejuvenators, which are totally different. So take all of this with a grain of salt. The first thing you need to do before doing any of this, however, is look up the data sheet, or really the details for your particular tube that you're working with. Every tube has a number. It should be on a sticker somewhere. It's actually in 2 different places for this one. And let's see, let me look at it again. This is a A48ABK05X, which I think is pretty typical for a 19-inch K7000. A48 is A like American, I don't know. 48 is you know, centimeters, the diagonal size, I guess, of the viewing surface. And you can either look up the old printed instruction cards that came with these you know, rejuvenators, and hopefully they have your tube. But this tube was, I'm imagining, probably built you know, in the late 80s, and the rejuvenator is like from the 60s or 70s. Like, this thing has a vacuum tube inside of it. So, you know, it certainly didn't come with instructions for this specific tube. But, you know, the most convenient way to do it is to go to a website called Tubular. I'll put a link down below to Tubular. I think it's tubular.atomize.org. It's actually run by Ian from the Coin Rejects podcast, not to be confused with the Coin Jam podcast. The Coin Rejects podcast, which, by the way, is rapidly approaching its 100th episode. Awesome milestone for the guys there. Anyway, Ian's got this site. It's a massive database of all of these you know, CRTs, and you can just plug your tube number in and get the information that you need. And in this case, it tells me that it's a CR31 socket, so I've got my CR31 adapter. There's a bunch of different adapters, and they plug into the business end of the cord coming from the rejuvenator. So I've got my CR31 adapter plugged into my a rejuvenator and attached to the tube of the monitor. And there's two important setup values that it gives you. It gives you your heater voltage, otherwise sometimes referred to as the filament voltage, and your G1 voltage. And so I have two values here. And my heater voltage for this particular CRT is going to be 6.3 volts. And my G1 voltage is going to be 50. 6.3 and 50 are very typical. So now that I know that, I can go ahead and set it up. And so I'm going to put my heater range at 4 to 7 because we're looking for 6.3 heater voltage. It's currently on off. We'll go to setup. We see our power is on. Don't worry about any of the gauges just yet. So we're at setup. First, we're going to set our heater voltage, and we're going to turn this until it gets to 6.3 on the first gauge right here. And these gauges are often multi-purpose. So this is both for your red or black and white for a black and white tube, and your heater voltage. This is for green and your G1 voltage. And this is for your line volts. Don't really worry about that. That's really just what's coming into the CRT, which is fine. So we've got our heater voltage set to, you get a little bit of shadow, and it's an analog dial. So we've got that set to 6.3. G1 needs to be 50. And sorry if my head's in the way. I'm trying to get this right smack on. All right, there we go. So heater is 6.3. G1 voltage is 50. Does that look right? Yep, okay. And now we can go to set cutoff. And we're going to adjust each of these individual dials for the three colors. And in the instructions, it says to the first division, which is really the first sort of mark on the gauge. So sometimes you have to go pretty far. I'm really getting close and trying to eyeball this. There we go. Eventually it'll move. Okay. And this one, they all are moving, which is a good sign. It's a good sign that my tube has life in it, and a sign that my rejuvenator is working properly. Sometimes you have to adjust them, readjust them, because they shouldn't, in theory, they shouldn't affect each other, but sometimes they do. All right, so I've set my cutoff, and now I can go to test. And you want all of them in the green. And actually, it turns out my red gun is the weakest, okay? So my red gun is the weakest, and I'm gonna zap it, right? We're not gonna do a rejuvenation. My green and blue actually are both in the green range, the good range. So we'll go to restore. We're on clean and balance, and I'm gonna basically hold down this button. It's gonna jump to the good, and then it's gonna fall. And when it sort of gets into the yellow, I'm gonna let go. So here we go. We're gonna hold it down. It's in the green, it's falling into the yellow. I'm gonna do it again for good measure. I'm gonna hold it down. It's in the green, falling to the yellow. I'm gonna do that one more time. And, oh, it's playing around. All right, it says we've got a G1K short over here. So I'm gonna hit remove shorts. And I saw a little sparkle in the, I don't know if that showed up on camera at all. I saw out of the corner of my eye a little sparkle in there. So shorts, there's corrosion, whatever that gets built up, and you're trying to cook those things off. So I don't see any more shorts here. Let me go back to test. Actually, I need to go back to set cutoff, and we will reset these values. We'll let the needles sort of calm down for a second because they are moving a tiny bit. I will reset my cutoffs here again to the first division, or the first marker above or past 0. That one's good. That one's good. Yeah, that one's good, right there. Okay. And now we go back to test. And we're in the green here. And both of these are actually down a little bit. So we'll go to restore again. And I'll hit the green and the blue just to, again, on the clean and balance, not the rejuvenate. Hold that down, let it drop. Okay, maybe one more time. Hold it down, let it fall. It's in the yellow. It's up in the green now. All right, that fell. We have another G1K short over here, so I'm gonna hit the shorts and maybe keep an eye over here and see if there's a sparkle that shows up in there. Yep, you saw that? You saw a spark in there. We'll do the blue one time at least. There we go, it's in the green, let it fall. It's in the yellow. Drop it. I'll do it one more time. Just barely in the green there. It's falling, falling. And there we go. Okay. We'll go back to set cutoff, and we'll set our dials again. Okay, first division. Okay, they all look good. We'll go to test. And blue looks like it needs a little bit more. Red looks like it's messing around a little bit. Green looks fantastic. So they're all in the green range. I'm gonna probably hit red and blue one more time just for good measure. So we're back over to the restore setting. We're on clean and balance. We're not gonna change that. We'll hit red and we'll let that fall. Okay, and then we'll hit blue. And if you're paying attention to the neck, you might be seeing some sparks flying, but there we go. Again, G1K Shortman, hit that one more time. Yeah, I saw a spark in there. Another one. Another one. Oh, they're actually getting, maybe one more time. Oh, I keep seeing them, but I think we might be okay. We'll go back. We might be done. Back to set cutoff. Again, we'll adjust our dials to the first division. Sometimes you need a little bit of adjustment each time. Okay. Okay. And the shadows mess with my eyes here on these gauges. If only it was digital. It's another thing. I've always joked that if I won Powerball, I would open up a CRT factory. I'd also produce a modern rejuvenator. Okay, cutoffs are set. We'll go to test. The red and green look great. Oh, I'm a little, you know, my OCD is getting to me. I'm gonna hit blue one more time. Here we go. Let it fall. There we go. We'll go to set cutoff one last time. And red's right there. Green's right there. Blue's right there. Go to test. I think they're all looking pretty good. You guys are gonna not like this. I'm gonna do blue one more time, just because I really want them all maxed out green. Here we go, holding down blue. We'll let it fall. All right, back to set cutoff. Okay, those are all good. And test. Yeah, it looks like that's about as good as blue is gonna get. So I'm happy with all that. I've got no lights lighting up with different, you know, warnings. So yeah, I think we're good. So hopefully, let's keep our fingers crossed. I'll, you know, plug everything back together. I'll fire it up. I'm sure I'm going to have to adjust all of the pots because they're all sort of basically at their center now. So on my own, I'll do a quick sort of white balance color adjustment, and I'll bring you back, and hopefully we'll see a nice image from the test pattern generator on this freshly, let's not call it rejuvenated. We cleaned and balanced it with the rejuvenator. But anyway, rejuvenated tube. So yeah, let's hope everything's looking good now. Okay, we're back, and I think we're doing okay. I've got it dialed in fairly well. Whoa! Spoke too soon. Geometry's okay. I think the colors are balanced. Let me see if we can step through a little bit. There we go, nice black and white contrast. There we've got all of our colors, and we've got a good sort of separation in the whites there. But as you saw, we're still getting a little bit of that, you know, flashes of color, some blue, some red. I'm fairly well convinced it's the pots, the color pots on the neck board. What I'd like to do is replace all 6 of them. Unfortunately, I don't have the exact right ones on hand. I have the correct values, but not the exact right form factors. So I'll probably end up ordering them from PeterArcadePartsRepair.com. I'll just add them to my next order. It's all dark here. I need to go. But you can see we're still having some DeGauss issues, or DeGauss. What is it? Remind me. DeGauss issues. There you can see it. maybe pretty good right there, unless you're red-green colorblind. Maybe right there, red and blue. It's not really showing up all that well. Trust me, we've got a little bit of a Gauss issue. Look at that, focus looks pretty good, geometry looks pretty good. Where is it going to show up? Let's see, maybe, whoa, look at that. I don't like that. That's the, yeah, I can tell in the reflection that it's still, oh, now it's back. I think that's pots. I think that's the red drive pot. Yeah, maybe you can see some of the Gauss stuff. But the Gauss, whatever coil is working. It doesn't seem to run every time I power cycle it. I don't know if there's some sort of capacitor that has to bleed off before it'll power, activate on a power cycle. But the Gauss coil is working. I also tested it with my multimeter, check the resistance, and it's okay. It doesn't run every single time though, but it has run a couple times. So worst comes to worst, I'll hit it with my manual degaussing wand coil sort of thing. But yeah, I think the monitor is in good shape. It's got some, if it's showing up here, it's got some Tetris burn, very, very explicitly cocktail Tetris burn because of the sort of, I don't know, the Russian church with the onion towers, down in the bottom right and in the top left upside down. So perfect tube to use for this game. So yeah, I think the monitor is doing pretty good, except for that color flashing issue in the Gauss, which I'm not too worried about. But yeah, in my next order at arcadepartsandrepair.com, I'll just make sure I can even see some red raster. I'll order a new set of 6 color pots for the neck PCB. I'll replace all of them. I'll redo all of this color balancing, and we should be good with this monitor for the Tetris cocktail. All right, we're back. And yeah, while I've been working on the Tetris cocktail, I've also been testing another new sample reproduction flyback from Peter at arcadepartsandrepair.com. And this is, of course, my Sharp XM2001N monitor from my Nintendo PlayChoice 10. So here is the latest sample from October of 2024 of a new reproduction, a new batch of reproduction flybacks for the Sharp monitors. This flyback also works in the red tent monitor, the Sharp XM1801N, which I've got one of those in my Donkey Kong Jr. cocktail, actually. If you recall, I was doing this in the summer, testing some flybacks for Peter, and he's been working on a new batch of these for the Sharps, because this one, they've had some trouble getting it exactly right. I've had one that it went bad after a couple years, and then another batch, we had that black bar issue, which actually seems to have resolved itself. And Peter was working on refining them, and he sent me a sample, a previous sample in the summer that was just DOA. This is a sample from the latest batch, and it seems to work. It seems to be working. I just wrapped up, and yeah, I don't have the sync rate, refresh rate on my camera set right now. But we just wrapped up, the 24-hour test with the TPG, the CraftyMic TPG, and my compact portable isolation transformer power supply. You see my HV probe there, and my thermal camera over here that we're using to take all of these measurements. And we just finished the complete 24-hour test, so I can send this data to Peter. And I think we're in good shape. Everything was working, and some of the numbers were actually more in spec than the original flyback, which I have over here. This is an original OEM Sharp Nintendo monitor flyback. I think this flyback's actually on the way out, and you can see, I don't know if this is starting to ooze epoxy or whatever. But yeah, I think this latest sample passed the test, so I'll get this data over to Peter. I know he'll be excited about that because he's invested so much time and money and effort and resources into making these great parts for us. And that's why I really like supporting people like Peter and arcadepartsandrepair.com, because without them, none of my games would probably be working. Anyway, so what I've been doing with the Tetris cocktail, well, I bought a bunch of stuff that I needed. I bought a sheet of plexiglass that I'm going to use to make the new sort of protectors for the control panel overlays. I was kind of debating between plexiglass or acrylic and Lexan or polycarbonate, and I think You know, Lexan is more you know, harder or whatever, but Plexi is less likely to scratch, I was reading. And Plexi is a lot cheaper. So if I'll do it with the Plexi, and if I don't like it, I can always redo it with the Lexan. But yeah, Lexan apparently yellows much faster, and it's more prone to being scratched and scuffed and marred. So we'll do it with the plexiglass, the acrylic, instead of the Lexan or polycarbonate. I got a tub, a soaking tub, because I have all of these more rusty parts. The coin door and lower coin door and vent covers and speaker grills and whatever. I'm still debating if I want to soak them in Evaporust or vinegar, or I've got this like Rust-Oleum gel that Ty was putting me onto. I don't know if you've got an opinion on what I should use. And these things are rusty, guys. Like, look inside the coin returns there, how rusty that is. So I'll be doing in this bin that I got from Home Depot, just to sort of, you know, contain the mess. What else? I cleaned up the edge connector with some deoxit. So I got a piece of paper towel in there just in case it, you know, kind of drips into the cabinet. And yeah, I think that's kind of it. We got a lot more to do in the next video. I'm gonna hopefully really gonna try to get everything all done. I still need to get the Bondo onto the cabinet. I put these straws in the screw holes that I want to preserve. I don't know if the Bondo is gonna bond to the straws, but at least that'll tell me where I need to re-drill the holes. But yeah, we'll get Bondo on here. We'll sand it. We'll paint the cabinet. I also need to put some new leg levelers. Kind of need to clean up the legs, and then they have screw-in leg levelers that I'll put some new ones in. I did order for the monitor, which is just over here. This is the actual Tetris monitor, if you can tell from the burn. I did order a set of new neck board pots, also from Peter, arcadepartsrepair.com. So hopefully that will address all the remaining issues that we had with the you know, the twitchiness with the monitor. But yeah, I'm hoping to get that all done in the next video. And the last thing I'm really not looking forward to is cleaning up the rust off the coin reject buttons. I've got a couple things I want to try, but if you guys have any recommendations on what to do, and both of these look that bad, let me know. And I can't disassemble them because, you know, it really doesn't come off of that assembly. It's like pressed into place, right? And you'd have to bend and reform all the metal. It's just a really weird design that I don't particularly like. So if you've got any recommendations for any of this stuff, anything I should do, please let me know. If you want to support the channel, a couple different ways to do that. The best way is to become an Overtime Arcade channel member. It costs you $1.99 a month, and in exchange, you get access to some awesome perks. Beyond supporting your favorite arcade restoration channel on YouTube, you get early access to all new videos. You get a monthly members-only live stream, and our November one's coming up soon. And you get access to our private members-only Discord, which is super active, a lot of fun. It's a great community, really positive. It's really an awesome time. So if you're not a part of that, you are missing out. So click that join button down below to learn more about what it means to become an Overtime Arcade channel member. We've got a merchandise shop. We've got hats and t-shirts and hoodies and mugs and all kinds of cool stuff that you should definitely check out. Get yourself something, you know, as a stocking stuffer, something to wear around the holidays, family parties, that sort of thing. Spread the word about Overtime Arcade. But yeah, if you don't want to do any of that, that's okay. Make sure you're subscribed. You don't want to miss any of these episodes. You don't want to miss the thrilling conclusion of the Tetris cocktail restoration, do you? No, you don't. Hit that bell button to get notified anytime I release anything. Otherwise, YouTube might not let you know. Like, share, comments, you know, all that stuff. Anyway, with all that said, I think we'll wrap it up here. As always, I've been Charlie. Thanks for watching Overtime Arcade, and we'll see you next time.
Overtime!